Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 305 Insights. I'm your host, Alan Somerton, and we're doing an instant reaction to FSU versus Boston College. And it was not the result that a lot of FSU fans, including myself, were expecting in a wide variety of ways. Final score Boston College 28, FSU 13. It was a tough watch. I mean, scoreless first quarter where I believe FSU touched the ball three times and went on a three and out. And Boston College just dominated the time of possession. It was pretty bad. I mean, you literally had the ball for 51 seconds in the first quarter. Boston College ran 8 plays for 35 yards and took off 5 minutes off the clock. Then you go 3 and out and you gain 4 yards. And then they usher a 14-play, 71-yard drive that took 9 minutes and 18 seconds. And how does FSU respond? 3 plays, 4 yards again. This time they wasted a minute 39. And they allow a 68-yard, 7-play drive for a touchdown to go down 14-0. And yeah, by halftime, 14-6. You come out of halftime, thinking it's okay. Worst case scenario, it would have been a lot worse. But 14-6, it wasn't that terrible going into halftime. And then you come out in the third quarter, go for it on a short field. Not short field, but it was 4th and 5 at the FSU 47. And DJ throws an interception on a horrible pass. And yeah, final score 28-13. There's a lot we have to digest from this game. And first, we're going to give credit where credit is due. Bill O'Brien and Boston College called a great game. Thomas Castellanos, 10 of 16, 106 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. That's not the important part. Again, just really efficient game by him where he didn't really have to make a lot of deep throws. A lot of the plays were the same plays over and over again. And we'll touch on that in a second once we go over the statistics. Kai Robichaux, 19 for 85 with a touchdown. Trayshawn Ward, former FSU walk-on who earned a scholarship, then transferred to Kansas State and now is in Boston College. 12 for 77, 6.4 yards per carry average. Robichaux average 4.5. Thomas Castellanos, 14 for 73, 5.2 yards, 1 touchdown. Turbo Richard, 4 for 28. And then I guess Reed Harris had 11 yards. The team also had negative 11. But anyways, 52 carries, 263 yards, 5.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. Now we go to the passing game. The most effective player was Trayshawn Ward because they ran the same play a lot of times. And it was the wheel route from the running back. Trayshawn Ward had 3 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. So we're looking at 77 rushing yards on 12 carries, like I said, efficient. And then you had 61 receiving yards. It's almost 140. It's 138 to be exact. Total offense from Trayshawn Ward. Congratulations. I've always liked him. A great job by him. Everybody else, Jeremiah Franklin, 1 for 14. Kamari Morales, 1 of 10. Reed Harris, 1 of 10. Lewis Bond, 1 of 7. Kai Robichaux, 1 of 4. And Jaden McGowan, 2 catches for 0 yards. But, yeah, just great mixing up the play calling in a sense of, holding Castellanos running a lot until the second half. And that's where he kind of exploited his abilities to do so. And just throwing the safe throws when you need to, just to remind FSU that you can do it. And they did that. I mean, overwhelmingly, they ran the ball, but just confused the bleep out of Adam Fuller and the FSU defense. And man, what can you say about this defense? They are getting gashed on the running plays, and I'm starting to feel bad for the defensive line in the sense of they're. We'll get to the expectations of this team later on, but there is no help for this defensive line in the sense that if you get past them, that's it. The vast, overwhelming effectiveness of this defense lives and dies by this defensive line. Now, I know we've talked about in the past, like, for example, with UM, you win in the trenches and stuff like that. But the linebacker play at Florida State right now it's not good. And this is something that we've been harping on as a podcast for years with the deficiencies of Randy Shannon as the linebacker coach / co-defensive coordinator and his inabilities to recruit high-level players. You were blessed to have Tatum Bethune transfer in and play for 2 years. And then you were able to develop Kalen DeLoach, where he was a good college linebacker, and especially in his last 2 years. And, you know, he had one of the most memorable plays in Seminole history, in recent history, at least under the Mike Norvell era, when he caused the fumble at Clemson on Clay Kubnik in that delayed blitz. And now you're seeing the perils of not having that depth at that position. DJ Lundy was viewed as a good linebacker in the sense of PFF graded him as an excellent run defender, but he doesn't do that great. He doesn't do that well on passing. Cam Riley is a freak athlete, 6'5", 248 pounds, I believe, but he's been exploited in the passing game as well. Blake Nicholson, true sophomore, shows potential, but is he ready to play right now? I'm not sure. Thankfully, Omar Graham did not play today. But he got pieced up against Georgia Tech. Thankfully, he was not on the field this time around. But it really didn't make a difference. And, you know, I think Peyton got a sack. I think there was a few plays here and there where you could see the potential of this defense with Jackson and Farmer and Marvin Jones, but there was just a lot of eyes in the backfield and the wrong things. And there was just a lot of getting to the, not even second level, because the second level in the linebackers is non-existent. There was a lot of getting to Shaheem Brown and company in the secondary before anybody was getting touched again. We might have to do a second podcast on this game and how the defense is performing once a lot of the other underlying statistics come out throughout the week. I'll be happy to do another podcast to tear this defense a new one. But it's just, you're seeing why I have never been a really big fan of Adam Fuller. A lot of his defense is predicated literally on just the front four getting pressure without much help and just hoping the man-to-man coverage holds up. The problem is with the 4-2-5, the two-part. You saw how effective this defense was last year because you had not only the talent in the front line, but you had the talent in the middle. And I think I read a tweet during the game that kind of summed up this defense right now, where 2023 team played hungry, 2024 is playing as if they've already been fed. You have a defensive line, and I know I'm trying to give them a slight pass, but you have a defensive line with a starting four of Marvin Jones Jr., a legacy recruit, a former 5-star high school recruit, that played at Georgia for 2 years before coming here. You have Patrick Payton on the other side in defensive end, who was expected to be the next man up in the line of, Jermaine Johnson, and then you had Jared Verse, and you had all this stuff going on with these transfers and just production in general from the defensive ends. And you saw the production that he had last year with the pass deflections, the sacks, the hurries, and I know he had a sack or a tackle for loss and whatnot during this game, but you also have Darrell Jackson Jr., who just looks the part of a defensive tackle. Same thing with Joshua Farmer, and just nothing is happening with those front four right now. It's just it's not the same as the Fabian Lovett and the Braden Fisks. And something has to be figured out on that end where you got to help those guys because they're currently not getting their job done in the sense of creating pressure or getting in the backfield to prevent these plays from happening. But my God, linebackers, the amount of times that I just saw just wide open fields before anybody was touched, as if we did not have a linebacking core out there. It was just incredible. And Bill O'Brien was running circles around Adam Fuller tonight. And now that I've kind of gone in on the defense enough, we really have to turn our heads to the offense and this game plan that, again, it's game 2 of 3 that Alex Atkins is suspended. For those of you who don't know, there was a impermissible recruiting violation that occurred, even though it really wasn't that big of a deal and this is non-biased, this is observation by other pundits and national writers and whatnot, yet he's serving a 3-game suspension. And I mean, we must be missing and again, he's the offensive coordinator / offensive line coach. We must be missing his presence on the sideline because this offense looks just mishandled, misguided, just a lot of misses all over the place. And the most startling thing to me, I understand you were down 14, but again, there's a point in the game where, 14-3, 14-6, that's really not that overwhelming. You had 58 plays total, and you threw the ball 42 times. And you ran the ball 16 times. 8 of those runs were by DJ. Keziah Holmes, 1 carry for 0 yards. Lawrence Toafili, 1 carry for 5 yards. This is the same running back who ran for 463 yards last year and averaged 6.7 yards a carry. And oh, by the way, threw in 21 receptions for almost 200 yards and a touchdown. When he was the second, third running back, obviously behind Trey Benson. 1 carry for 5 yards. Roydell Williams, the touted transfer from Alabama, 3 touches, 10 yards. Cam Davis, the true freshman, 3 carries for 11 yards. He had the longest rush from a running back at 8 yards. DJ had the longest run with 13. DJ's stat line, he finished at 50%, 21 of 42, 272 yards, 6.5 yards average, 1 TD, and 1 horrible interception. The players who looked somewhat decent, Kentron Portier, 3 receptions for 79 yards and a touchdown. He had back-to-back 29-yard receptions. One of them, he broke a tackle to get in the end zone. And a great block by, I don't know if it was Courtney or West. One of the tight ends had a good block on that play, and I was really excited about that because at this point I'm searching for anything to be excited about in this game. And just seeing him finishing the play and getting the block on that cornerback to allow Portier to cut back into the field and get the touchdown was really refreshing to see. Ja'Kai Douglas, 4 catches for 66 yards. Jalen Lucas, who Mike Norvell and company vowed to get more touches, 2 receptions, 34 yards with a long of 25. Malik Benson, again, the highly touted recruit out of Alabama, the transfer, 3 catches, 33 yards. Jaylen Brown, the speedster transfer from LSU, 1 catch for 15 yards. And then we're running into, Rodell Williams, 2 for 15. Tor Philly, 3 for 13. Cam Davis, 1 of 7. Darian Williamson sighting, 1 of 5. Deuce Spawn sighting, 1 of 5. And Lucas had 1 kick return for 20 yards. And shout out Ryan Fitzgerald, 2 field goals and an extra point. And Alex Mastromano was probably the best player on FSU's side. That's saying something. 6 punts, 313 yards, average 52.2 yards, 2 inside the 20, a long of 65. The 65 one was pretty impressive. Pinned them within the 5, I think. And then, of course, they ran the ball and were on the 20 immediately. And DJ was inconsistent at best. Kyle Morlock pretty much killed his night with the amount of drops that he had. And you saw Kyle Morlock not play. I think it was in the second half. I don't know if they took him out in the third quarter or just the second half in general. You saw Landon Thomas playing, the true freshman tight end. Because, again, Courtney and West are more blocking tight ends. Kyle Morlock is supposed to be the more offensively proficient tight end in this system. So the fact that you're playing Landon Thomas, Mike Norvell just probably tapped him on the helmet and said, hey, it's not your night. You got to get out of here before it gets too bad for you. You had 2 really bad drops. And then he could have made a play on maybe one or two other balls. But again, DJ tried to target him, and you did not hear me read out his name because he did not catch a ball. There was a stretch on when they were on the 6-yard line when they got one of the field goals in the second quarter where DJ left a touchdown on the board twice. Ja'Kai Douglas was open in the back of the end zone. The ball got tipped. I'm not sure if that's entirely DJ's fault, but if you read the play earlier, could have got the ball out to Ja'Kai Douglas. And then Darian Williamson was open. Beautiful play call. One of the few beautiful play calls in the game where they basically set a pick on the outside and the cornerback and the safety had to decide who to cover. They both decided to cover. I'm assuming, I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't know if it was Portier in the corner with him. Darian Williamson was wide open in the corner. And DJ threw a laser straight out of bounds. No touching the ball. One of the scouts or coaches that I follow on Twitter was saying his mechanics are pretty much worse than they were when he came into college. All arm, all upper body, no core or lower legs into everything. You could just see everything is just like firing a bullet with DJ. And there's no touch. There's no finesse with it. It's just firing and firing and firing. And the accuracy wasn't always there. I mean, again, Kyle Morlock didn't do him any favors. Lawrence Toafili might have dropped 1 or 2 that were easily catchable. And it's kind of like what you hear about when Tyreek Hill says that Tua Tagovailoa throws the most beautiful ball that he can catch. Even though he's played with Patrick Mahomes, there's just something different about the way Tua just places the ball in his hands pretty much. DJ does not have that. And it got to a point where the crowd was chanting, "We want Brock." And we're not talking Brock Lesnar, folks. We're talking about Brock Glenn, the backup quarterback. And it's not a good start to the season. They, number 10 ranked team, 0-2 in the conference. Both losses, like I said, 0-2 and 0-2. I did that for a reason. One's in the conference, one's just overall. You're already out of the ACC run. Championship game, you're out of that. 2 games into the season. You're not going to be ranked. There's no reason for you to be ranked. So you're going to go from 10 to out of the rankings on the AP poll and coaches poll. It's going to be an interesting season if this is how it's going to play out with the way the defense is playing and with the way the offense is being called in a somewhat conservative manner of just not throwing the deep ball. And offensive line didn't look that great either. TJ Ferguson got pulled at the end of the game because there was a 4th and 5 play that they were holding span for a while, and they let him go. And he pushes the guy down, 15-yard penalty, 4th and 20. They never got the ball back, I don't think. And yeah, just undisciplined in a variety of ways in the sense of with the penalties, you had 7 for 50. A lot of false starts. I think there was 2 false starts from Maurice Smith. There was 2 false starts on Robert Scott, or he had 2 straight penalties in one drive, or he had 2 penalties in like a 3 or 4 play span. Just a lot of unnecessary penalties, and just an ugly, ugly game by the coaching staff, by the players, and your season's shot now. There's no way you can run the table and go 10-2, which is highly unlikely at this point. But even if that did happen, would that make you a? Well, you would beat Notre Dame, Miami, and Clemson. Would that make you appealing as a college football playoff team? And even then, I think there's a 1% chance that's going to happen according to ESPN statistics, analytics, FPI, all that stuff. So, where do you go from here? You have a week off. Then you face Memphis, which going into the season I thought was going to be, it wasn't going to be a gimme game. It wasn't going to be a get-right game because Memphis is okay. But you're still expected to win that game handedly. I mean, again, I think FSU is one of the only teams, if not, I think maybe one of 3 teams in the last 45 years that have lost back-to-back games as double-digit favorites. And it's just, it's not a good start to the season. It doesn't matter how you cut it. Offense looks lost without Alex Atkins in there. Defense doesn't look great. Yeah, so Florida State is just the 3rd FBS team in the last 45 years to lose its first 2 games of the season as double-digit favorites. They're also one of 4 teams in the last 10 years to start off 0-2 as a top 10 team. One of them was Notre Dame in 2022, Penn State in 2020, obviously this team in 2024, and as a special, the Jimbo special, we have the 2017 team that I believe that was the one where DeAndre Francois got injured in the first game against Alabama, and they finished 7-6. So, yeah, it's really good to not even be on that list once, but twice. So, where does FSU go from here? Do you start DJ against Memphis? That's a good question. Because, again, do you factor in the Alex Atkins suspension and wonder if that's going to help DJ? Because your next 2 games should be wins. You should win against Memphis and Cal. And then you're at SMU, which should be interesting at this point. And then you have Clemson at home. So, folks, if FSU's not careful, this is going to be a really bad season. Because on the schedule, you're hoping Memphis is a win. And here I'm saying hoping. I thought this team would be an ACC favorite. And I thought the range would be 11-1 to 9-3 for this team. And it's not looking like it's going to fall in there at all. You're at the bottom of the ACC right now. You're going to have Memphis, Cal, SMU, Clemson, Duke, Miami, North Carolina, Notre Dame, Charleston Southern, and Florida. Out of those games, Charleston Southern should be a win. Is Florida going to be a win at that point? I mean, I would certainly like to hope so. The way Florida looked against Miami, and with them going through an SEC schedule, God knows if Graham Mertz is going to make it through the season. And what kind of depth they'll have at the end, you have to beat Florida. You're going to have to beat Charleston Southern. At Notre Dame, that was one of your 3 toughest games. That's going to be a loss, man. And then North Carolina. North Carolina is heavily dependent on the run this year. That doesn't bode well for FSU this year. Miami looks like world beaters. It's at Hard Rock Stadium. I think that there's going to be a lot of UM fans who will not sell their tickets to make a profit to pay off for their season tickets. They actually want to go to this game. That's going to be an intense environment. Duke should be a win. They don't really look that strong this year. So you got Cal, Memphis, Charleston Southern, Duke, and Florida. Where are you going to get another win? Are you going to beat SMU? Let's hope so. Clemson, please beat Clemson this year. I really don't want to lose to Dabo Swinney at home. Folks, you got to be careful. You got to be careful with this season. Norvell says nobody envisioned being where we are. Obviously, you had championship aspirations after going 13-1 or 13-0 in the regular season before everybody just bailed for the NFL draft. Understandable. Whew. I'm sure you could hear the monotone sarcasm, anger, negative emotions in my voice, folks. That's why I wanted to do an instant podcast instead of letting it simmer. Again, I'm pretty sure I'll do another one on this game or just how this defense looks. But this is not the start that you wanted. That goes without saying. Obvious statement is obvious. FSU needs to find leaders right now. They need to possibly start the conversation of looking to the future. Depending on how the bye week goes and what you expect to do in the Memphis game. If you want to let DJ start that game and just wait for Alex Atkins to come back on the Cal game and then start Brock Glenn from there, I wouldn't mind that. Just let... it's almost like a lamb to slaughter. You're letting DJ just take the brunt of this at this point. But I'm leaning towards that being a significant possibility at this point. And you hope Hakeem Williams comes back soon to see what he can help with in terms of wide receiver / run blocking, because he is an excellent run blocker and he's one of our more physically gifted wide receivers. And do you do the youth movement? You've already played Cam Davis 2 games, technically, I believe. I don't know if there's like a snap thing or if it's just playing in games. Play Cam Davis. Play Mekhi Denzi. Play, Jaylen Brown a lot. You got to play Hakeem Williams a lot. Play Jaylen Brown. Play the young guys. If not, go even deeper than that. Play the young kids. The younger kids. I mean, because those guys are young. Like, Hakeem Williams is a sophomore. And Jaylen Brown is a sophomore as well. But I'm also talking about, like, maybe throw in LaWayne McCoy. Maybe throw in Elijah Moore. The true freshmen. See what they can do. Because, again, you already know what you're getting from Darian Williamson. You already know what you're getting from Kentron Poitier. From Deuce Spahn. It's not what you need right now. Play the young guys, see what they can offer. Just play, like I said, play at wide receiver. Start looking again to playing a 4. Well, I mean, you got to play Malik Benson. I know he transferred here, but still, like, look to getting Hakeem Williams heavily involved. Your starting 3 moving forward once Hakeem gets healthy should be Jaylen Brown, Malik Benson, and Hakeem Williams. And then if that's the case, you don't really want to burn the red shirts of Elijah Moore and LaWayne McCoy. I get that. But just try and feature Hakeem more. Try and feature Jaylen Brown more. See what they can offer. And again, have that conversation with the running backs as well. I know you've got, Toafili and Roydale Williams, but you're clearly integrating Cam Davis in this. I don't know if Kazeo Holmes is going to get a lot of looks this year, and that's unfortunate for him. I don't know if Sam Singleton's going to get a lot of looks this year either. And I don't think, I mean, I don't want to see Makai Denzi, but again, start playing Brock Glenn. It's just got to see what they have on the young side, because the portal giveth and the portal taketh, and the portal taketh in multiple ways. In the sense of it takes players away from you, like a Trayshawn Ward, like a Biscuit with a Marcuston Douglas at tight end. It'll take things away from you. And it'll also take away the fact that maybe you're going to miss on some of these transfers. DJ's a miss. Look at the difference between, and I know this is unfair because one's more dynamic than the other, but DJ had a good year last year. So look at the difference between FSU and UM. We have 2 games and 1 game, sure, but larger sample size with FSU. When you lean on DJ, this is what happens. First of all, you don't have the athletes at wide receiver right now to create space. And then second, you're asking an inaccurate quarterback to carry you. The data is there, folks. DJ is who he is. You wanted a bridge quarterback with him, which is fine. But this is a guy, again, he had a good year last year. Not great, good. 21 touchdowns, 7 picks. He completed 57% of his passes. The year before at Clemson, he completed 62%. That's ideally what you wanted. Somewhere over the 60s. His redshirt freshman year, he completed 54.7. His completion percentage, career-wise, 59.4. He went 21-42 with 50% this year. It is who he is. There is no hiding it now. He is a fully developed college quarterback. And you wanted him as a bridge player, and the bridge doesn't have structural stability. Where do you go from here? Who are the leaders? Who are leaders on defense? Is Patrick Payton going to step up? Is Joshua Farmer, Darrell Jackson going to step up? Do I expect Marvin Jones Jr. to step up, even though he's, 8 months on the team? He shouldn't have to step up like that. You need people who are part of the culture to step up. And I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if Patrick Payton got credit for a sack. He had a tackle for loss. Yeah. They had 3 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection. And, just tough time, folks. Tough time. Again, we'll do a deeper dive of this on a statistic, and not a statistic, but like on a analytical level of the effectiveness of some players. But again, when Shaheem Brown's one of your top tacklers and he's your safety, there's a problem. Cam Raleigh had 10, DJ Lundy had 8, Shaheem Brown had 8, Blake Nicholson had 7, Justin Cryer had 4. But just a rough game. Rough game, folks. So I think we'll end it on that. I don't want to keep on bashing them over and over and over again. But 0-2 start for FSU. Not where you want to see him. Thought I'd be a little more angry in this recording, a little more frustrated, but maybe I just let that all out during the game. So, again, we'll wait for some additional statistics to come out, some observations from the analytics and pundits, and just rewatch some things with that in mind of certain observations. I know, again, we've talked about it with DJ and the defensive line and the linebackers not being there, but I'm sure there's other things that I missed. Oh, Kyle Morlock dropping the ball. But again, hopefully we'll get some PFF grades or, some other underlying statistics that we can really dive into and really expose how bad of a start this is for the defense and the offense as well. So thanks for listening to this late night talk, this late night session. And sorry if you get the notification for this being posted late at night. But again, just wanted to get my raw feelings, my raw reactions to the game. And hope you enjoy this new format for this. Not often I do like a live reaction like this. But once again, folks, you know the drill. Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow. We want the feedback. We want the fan base of ours enjoying this. Professional football is coming up soon. We'll start getting Miguel and Eric integrated in this once again. Have those roundtable discussions. And just like I said, we're going to try and pump out the content with college football as much as we can. I think we've started off the season well. We're going to keep the momentum going. So thanks for listening to this episode, folks. Thanks for stopping by. And we'll catch you next time here on 305 Insights. Have a good one, folks.